Hello guys, this is Anil from FICTION VFX STUDIO. Today we'll learn how I made this video in Blender. Recreating a rainy day in a jungle is a fantastic and creative concept. The first step in this process is gathering inspiration and references. I initially thought about visualizing a rainy day within a jungle. For this, I needed a reference image to help me understand what I wanted to create. I went to Google and searched for jungle in rain, and I found plenty of images. Each image showcased different types of jungles and rain scenes. However, I felt that the search was a bit too generic. So, I refined it further by typing jungle in rainy season. This time, the images that appeared were more specific, and one of them really caught my eye. The atmosphere in that image perfectly matched what I wanted to capture in my scene. I selected it as my reference image. Using a reference image provides clarity about how the final output should look. So, to create this, I go to Paint and prepare a rough image of how I want it to look. And for the background, we will download an image from Google. Now that the reference and background have been selected, we need to decide what assets are required. For a smooth workflow, we will create or download all the necessary assets for our creation in advance. For this video, I had already downloaded all the assets beforehand. Here's the setup. This is a table set, a teapot, and a teacup, along with some decorative plates, all of which I downloaded from Blender Kit. The book and book stand are 3D models I generated myself. On the book, I added Ramayan decals for detailing. The house was also downloaded from Blender Kit. As for the Ram model, I downloaded it from Sketchfab. You can also find it on Sketchfab if you search for it. For the jungle, I downloaded a few trees from Blender Kit, and one of them also included a house. These are all the assets we need. Once all the assets are gathered, we move on to kit bashing. First, open a new blend file and add a plane. Then scale it to your desired size. Next, enter edit mode and subdivide the plane enough so that when we apply a displacement modifier, the bumpiness will appear smooth. After that, go to the Modifiers tab, add a displacement modifier, and choose a cloud texture. Adjust the plane's bumpiness to achieve a better terrain look. Enable Auto Smooth for the plane and apply the modifier. Next, I imported a house model from my asset blend file and placed it on the ground, scaling the ground as needed. Then, I added some trees from the assets and positioned them at some distance. I placed a Sri Ram model right in front of the house to serve as the foreground. After that, I brought in a table set and placed it inside the house. Added a book and book stand on the table, and downloaded a monk model from Sketchfab. I placed the monk inside the house, in front of Sri Ram, to depict meditation. Then I added a camera and placed it behind the monk inside the room. I set the focal length to 35, adjusted the table slightly forward, and adjusted the camera as required. Next, I downloaded a lantern model from Sketchfab and placed it in the environment to bring a subtle foreground light. I saved the file. Press Shift+A to add a background plane using images as planes and turn on camera tracking. In camera mode, scale the plane to fit the background properly during camera movement. Then, select the plane and disable its shadow in the Visibility tab since we're using it as a background. In the shader editor, add an emission node to make the background visible even in fog. Next, select the plane, go to the N panel, and use the Botanic add-on to add grass to the plane. Adjust the grass density as needed. Add woods and leaves to create a jungle-like feel and adjust their density as well. Now, add a cube, scale it, and position it in your environment. In the shader editor, add a principled volume node to the cube to create fog. Set the density to 0.01 and anisotropy to 0.8. And in the viewport display, change the cube to Display as Wire to hide it in the viewport. To make the foreground engaging, add a tree, position it in the camera view, and apply wind animation to it using the Botanic add-on. Next, select your plane, go to the N panel, and use the rain generator from the Baga add-on to add rain. To prevent rain from entering the house or falling directly on Sri Ram, select the house and Sri Ram and add them as targets. To make Sri Ram appear wet, apply a rain shader to him. Animate the camera as needed. For the swinging lantern, place a chain model above it. Add an empty object above the chain, and parent the lantern, chain, and empty object together. Animate the empty object. Then go to the graph editor, select the X location, and apply a noise modifier to create random swinging movement for the lantern. For lighting, press Shift+A, add a sun lamp, rotate it slightly, and set its angle to 25 for softer, diffuse shadows. Add an environment texture for overall lighting, and set its strength to 5. For rendering, switch the render engine from Eevee to Cycles and change the device from CPU to GPU. Set render samples to 128 and enable denoise. In light paths, disable caustic reflective and refractive. Turn on motion blur and enable transparency in the film settings. Finally, go to the Render tab and select Render Image. For compositing, go to the Compositing tab and enable Use Nodes. Add a viewer node to view your render and connect it to the image. Add a denoise node for smoother results. Use a lens distortion node, setting distortion and dispersion to 0.01 and turn on fit. Add a glare node, set it to fog glow, and adjust the threshold to add glow to the lantern lights. For the final render, go to the Render tab, set the resolution to 1080x1920 for portrait view, and set the frame rate to 24 FPS. Choose the output folder and file format, PNG for images, or FFmpeg for MP4. Then, render the animation by clicking Render Animation. And that's all, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more awesome content. See you in the next one.